Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be my June reading wrap-up. So basically this is every book that I read in the month of June. I actually feel like I did a pretty good job this month. To be fair, most of the months I read probably 4 to 5 books. That's kind of my average. Definitely during the school year, it's definitely either average or less than that, just because I'm more busy. So the summer I do tend to read more during the months. But I think this is the most I've ever read in a singular month, so I'm actually pretty proud of myself. So I think if I remember correctly, yeah, I read 8 books this month. So basically this video is just going to be me showing you all the books that I read, rating them, why I rated them that, and all of that stuff. So yeah, hope you enjoy. The first book that I read in the month of June was Wretched by Emily McIntyre. This is the 3rd book in the Never After series. And the first one is Hooked, the second one is Scarred, then Wretched, and then I think Twisted is the 4th one. And those are the only 4 that are out right now, but I know she has a 5th one coming out either later in the year or next year. But this one is about, I think it's the Wicked Witch of the West. I'm not really familiar with that fairy tale, like from its original point of view, but I'm pretty sure that's who this is about. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think it was, compared to the other ones, I didn't feel like it stood out more or less than the others. I've ironically rated all of the books in the series the exact same. Like none of them were really like, oh my god, this is so much better than the others, or oh my god, this was so much worse than the others. So I rated this 4.25 stars. I feel like, again, it wasn't like, oh my god, this was the best book I've ever read, but it definitely was not bad. I did really enjoy reading it. I would recommend it to people who like fractured fairy tales, like darker romances. It was smutty. It wasn't like, oh my god, every other chapter, but there were definitely a lot of smut scenes in it too, so if you like that, I would also recommend it for this. If you don't like that, then I may not recommend this book to you. But yes, this was the first book that I read and finished in the month of June. The second book that I read and finished in the month of June was The Last Word by Taylor Adams, and it's like the first thriller I've ever really read, so it was kind of hard to rate it because I don't really have anything else thriller-wise to compare it to, because I don't really want to compare it to a romance book because they're very different genres, and thriller isn't my main genre. So for me, even if I would like thrillers, I feel like it would take me a couple of thriller books to really like get into it and love it. So my rating, I wouldn't say take it too much to heart, like I rated it 3.25 stars, but if you're very interested in the plot line, because basically it's a girl and she's at a house kind of in the middle of nowhere and she's house sitting, she has her dog, and she reads a book like on her Kindle. They call it like an e-reader, but that's basically what it is a Kindle, and she doesn't like it, and so she writes kind of a bad review on it, and the author starts kind of like messaging her and being like, please take this down, like this is my livelihood, like blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden now there's somebody after her and we don't know who that is, but there's assumptions, and you know, it's just kind of like an interesting plot line compared to most thrillers. I feel like it's very different, at least from what I've heard about different thrillers that are popular. So I would recommend reading it so that you can figure out if you like it yourself. It just, for me, it was hard to rate it because it's like the first one I've ever read. But I liked certain parts of it, but not other parts. That's why I gave it 3.25. I definitely really liked the parts I liked, but then the ones I didn't, I was just kind of like, I don't know, I felt like the book could have been shorter. Like, it's 337 pages. It definitely could have been shorter than that, in my opinion. I feel like there was just certain parts that I kind of felt like were just being dragged out to be dragged out. But I do think overall, again, everyone should read it if you like thrillers, to have your own opinion on it, since I'm not a big expert on thrillers. Even though I wouldn't necessarily consider myself an expert on any of these books, but I do tend to read more romance, so those ones I feel like are more accurate when I rate them. But I still think this was a good book, and I know that he has 2 or 3 other books, I think, and I've heard also really good things about those. So if you did read this and you did like it, I would check out his other books, and vice versa. If you liked his other books, then I would check out this one. So yeah. The third book that I read in the month of June was Bully by Penelope Douglas. At least one book in every video has the lighting reflecting off the cover poorly. I'm sorry. I rated this 5 stars. This was actually a reread for me because it was one of my original 5 stars and I wanted to see if it still was. And it was, clearly by the title. It is a bully romance. So it is on the darker side, but it's not like super, super dark. I like it. It has a little bit of like angst and tension in it, which I like, but it's also not like bully, 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 bully. Like, it's not like they're just constantly bullying each other. It's just kind of like here and there. I don't know. I just really, really enjoyed it. I think Penelope Douglas did a really good job writing it. I'm super excited to read the second book, which is actually, if I'm correct, I'm pretty sure the second book, which is called Until You, is the male character in this book. It's his perspective of this book. So I feel like it has to be a 5 stars if it's the same book, basically. I don't know. We'll see when I read it. But I really, really enjoyed this book, and I rated it 5 stars again. The fourth book that I read in the month of June was called Through You, and it's by Ariana Goody. I think that's how you pronounce her name. If not, I'm sorry, but this is the book. It is the second book to Through My Window, I think is what it's called. The first book is a movie on Netflix. It has a second, like the movie has a second movie, but it's not really this book. So I wouldn't say it's like this is a movie, but there are certain aspects of this book that are in that movie. Like the characters and the relationship. But I don't know, I rated this 4.5 stars. It was really quick and easy to get through. I feel like I said a lot about books, but when they are really quick and easy to get through, normally it's because I enjoyed them. The next book that I read in the month of June was Stealing Ronan by Isabella Lucerio. Again, don't know how to pronounce this author's name. I'm so sorry if I pronounced it wrong. I actually got this in one of my book subscription boxes, and I saw that it was an MM romance, and I said, perfect, June, Pride Month, we're reading it. And it's super short, so it was really easy to get through. I read it in one day. It was cute. I rated it 4 stars. I feel like it wasn't like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever read, but it also wasn't bad. Again, it was just cute, and there was some smutty scenes in it too, so it was like, you know, it was fun to read. I wouldn't necessarily read it again, probably, just because I've already read it, and again, it didn't have any, like, because it was so short, I feel like there wasn't a lot of, like, character connecting. Like, I didn't connect to any characters and be like, wow, I really want to reread this again. But it also wasn't like, please never read this is horrible. I did really enjoy it, and it is a series, I think 4 books? I think it's 4 books, and this was the first one, obviously, I got in my book subscription box, and so I read it. It's basically, it's sister's boyfriend trope, which I know sounds really bad, but they really aren't dating, and the boyfriend ends up becoming his boyfriend, and basically how they become boyfriends is that the two guys get, like, snowed into, like, a cabin, and they're by themselves for, like, 2 or 3 days. You can see what happens in those 2 or 3 days by reading the book. I won't tell you, but you can assume. And so, yeah. And then I'm pretty sure the second book is about the sister in this book, and then his best friend. So we love brother's best friend trope. So I'm very excited to read that book because that is one of my favorite tropes. So the next book that I read in the month of June is Iced Out by Okay, I don't even know. I don't know how to pronounce. I'm honest, I don't know how to pronounce her name. So that's the author. This is another MM romance. Again, it was Pride Month, and I thought, why not be festive and read some MM romances, because I really like them. I think sometimes, like, the way the characters are written in their, like, love stories are sometimes so much better than straight couples. Even FF romances are really good too. I just don't have that many, nor do I really know of that many. So if you know of any really good ones, comment those down below, because I would like to read some more. Like, I have Try 6 Venom over here by Penelope Douglas. That's, like, the only one I know of. So again, if you have recommendations, please share those in the comments down below. But I rated this 4.75 stars. I loved this. I literally like kicking and screaming for these 2 characters. They were top tier boyfriends. I loved them. Loved them together. Hated the 3rd act breakup, but it's fine. Most books have them, so I try not to lower rates for that, but I think for what it could have been, it was really a very quick and simple fix. The next book that I read in June was The Never King by Nikki St. Croix. Basically, this is a Peter Pan and Wendy retelling. Anytime a darling girl, Wendy Darling, that's her last name, so, you know, you have Wendy, and then I think Wendy's the grandma. So, like, when I say Wendy and Peter Pan, I mean, like, her granddaughter, basically, is the one that's the love interest in the book. Her name's Winnie, but it's like a Wendy and Peter Pan retelling in the sense of, like, you know, that original story. And whenever a darling girl turns 18, she gets taken by Peter Pan and brought to Neverland. It's very short, like, it's not even 200 pages, so short. So it was really quick and easy to read. I rated it 3.25. I honestly would have rated it 3 if it wasn't for the ending. The ending made me very curious about the next book, so I will probably read the next book purely because of the ending of this one. But really, if I'm being really honest with you, it was pretty much just smut. Like, I didn't really feel like there was a lot of plot. I felt like it was just a lot of sex and people wanting to have sex, which is fine. Sometimes you're just in the mood for that type of book, but I really wouldn't read this book expecting much of a plot. Now, I am going to probably read the second one, and so maybe as you read the books, they get more plot. It's my hope. But again, if you're just wanting a really smutty book, I would recommend this one then. But if you want like more of a Peter Wendy retelling with like an actual plot, I would recommend Hooked by Emily McIntyre, even though it's not Peter Pan and Wendy being together, it's Hook and Wendy, but still it's similar. Y'all, I'm really struggling in this video to speak. It's just, to me, it's a more plot-based book than just smut. This one was pretty much just smut, so yeah. But we've gotten to the final book that I read in June, and it's absolutely 110% my favorite book of all times. I'm probably never going to shut up about it. If you are my family members or my friends, you've probably heard me talk about it 800,000 times already. I'm literally in love with it, and I, again, will never shut up about it. And that is Fourth Wing. It is a 600,000 out of 5 stars. I love it. I literally don't even think I have words. I'm not even going to explain the plot of the book because I don't even know if I can. Like, I love it. I need the second one now. It comes out in November, and I already love November because it's my birth month, and now I love it even more because the book's coming out in November. The second one, because it's a series, and it ends, and you are like, I need the second one immediately. But I would still recommend reading it now instead of waiting until you have the second one, because like, it's so good, and why would you wait to read it? But basically, Violet is the main character, and it's similar to Divergent. I feel like I've seen only 1 or 2 people really say that, so I don't know why more people aren't comparing it, because I really feel like that's the vibe it gave me. There's obviously fantasy in it because of like some magic and dragons, but I feel like it has that dystopian feel to it that Divergent gave that I haven't really seen in other books since like that era of dystopian books. Because basically Violet, she has to complete all these different trials and challenges to move on, and people are dying, and if people don't meet them, they like, it's very similar to the ranking system and trials that happen in Divergent. She falls in love with someone who is a superior in a sense to her, similar to Triss and Four in Divergent. I don't know, it gave me that same vibe, but it was also so different that I didn't feel like I was reading the same book. Like, I didn't feel like I was reading Divergent all over again. The main character guy in this book, her love interest, which I don't really want to spoil, because I thought I knew who it was, but I wasn't 100% sure when I read it, and so when I did for sure, like, confirm it, I was like, oh, I love this. But he is amazing. I love him. Oh my god. I wish he was real so bad. Anyways, also, I wish the dragons were real. I love dragons. Like, if you know me, I have a weird obsession with them. I wish they were real. I wish I had one. And I read this book, and I wish I had one even more after reading it. I would say, though, if you do read this book, when you're finished, go back to the beginning and read, like, it's... Let me see what page it is. Where you have this, read this again. just do it. Trust me, just do it, and you'll basically be even more tortured in needing the second book. But loved it. Like literally 600,000 stars out of 5. I don't even, it's so good. So good. My favorite book ever. I just can't. So good. Read it, please. Please just read it. And I know they're really hard to find, so either buy it on Kindle and read it, or pre-order one so that when they do come back in stock, you can get one, because it's so worth it. I literally love it. And I'm not really like a fantasy reader. Like, I read a couple, but I haven't read that many. And like I said, if you don't like fantasy, I still think you'd like this, because like it has more dystopian. To me, it feels like more of a dystopian romance than a fantasy romance. I just feel like we say fantasy because of the dragons and the magic. And I don't know, maybe when the series continues, it'll feel more fantasy. But I kind of felt like it was more dystopian with romance, just with, you know, some dragons and magic added in. I don't know. That was just my opinion. But again, please read. Amazing. Loved it. Okay, I'll shut up now. All right, that was my video. I hope you enjoyed my June reading wrap up. I will, again, be back at the end of July for my July reading wrap up. Hopefully it goes as well as June did. I feel like I did really, really good in June, with sticking to my TBR, but even though I didn't, you know, read every book on my TBR, I feel like I read a lot compared to what I normally do. Sometimes I set TBRs and I don't read a single book on them, and sometimes I set TBRs and I read all of them. It just kind of depends on how I feel that month. But I do hope you enjoyed this video. Again, you know, like, comment, subscribe, the usual things. If you want to see certain videos from me, comment those down below. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will probably be my book haul, because I went a little nuts and bought some books, and I think they've all arrived now, so I will probably be doing a book haul in the next few days to a week, so look out for that. All right, yeah, that's my video. See you guys next week. Bye.